The C.J. Howard Show. Now let's go to C.J. Howard. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the season finale of the C.J. Howard Show, Season 2, episode number 31. I am live from my home in Barberville, Kentucky. Glad you could join us on the season finale of the C.J. Howard Show. We are live on the Facebook. We're live on the YouTube. We're live on the D&D Sports Network. We're also live on the C.J. Howard Show Facebook page. Also, we'd like to hear from you. We want to get your call. Give me a phone call on the line here. 1-346-314-0906. We'll take your phone call. We've got a great guest list. We've got supposed to have Ryan Lemon as my co-host. Ryan, I just saw, probably not going to be able to make it. I think he had to do their sports show tonight. So if Ryan doesn't show up, that will, I will be doing it solo. Our guest tonight, we're supposed to hear from Jeff Drummond at 8:10. We're going to see what Jeff's thoughts were yesterday about the Blue White scrimmage. What's going on with the UK basketball roster, baseball and softball, and also what the women's team is going to look like next year, their roster too, and that UK stuff. Then we're going to hear from Henry Shaw at 8:30. Henry's a professional wrestler. He's also going to be the commissioner of a new wrestling association called APW, Alliance Pro Wrestling, that begins next Saturday night at the Corbin Civic Center there in Corbin. That'll be a 7:30 bell time. 6 o'clock is what time the doors open. And we're going to talk about Henry, about his wrestling career and what's going to go on with the new show there. Also, we're going to hear from the commissioner of the KHSAA, Julian Tackett, at 9 o'clock. Going to get his thoughts on what went past in the fall and the winter, and catch up here on the spring and get his thoughts on anything new coming up for the upcoming season of 22-23, when we'll be hitting it in July. And then John will be with us at 9:30. He will go ahead and give us our final thoughts of the season, what he liked, what he did not like, what were some things that were exciting. We're going to also see he can give us some of the top football players coming back, as football is 2 months away from where we're supposed to be. 2 weeks, or actually 2 months, about 100 and some days till the opening of football. As I said, Ryan Lemon was supposed to have been with me. I did text him to let him know that he come on. I have not heard from him, so we will probably not hear from Ryan. I did see where he had to do KSR, the show tonight with the Mr. Franklin. So we don't get with Ryan. We'll pick up Ryan next season in season 3 of the C.J. Howard Show. Let's go over some notes, some things going on here in the going on down. Let's first of all, COVID-19 is really slowing down, and that's a great thing. Yesterday, they brought up the maps for CDC, and everybody was in the green for the exception of one county, and that was Anderson County was still in the yellow. But that is a tremendous job by the people in the Commonwealth, doing a good job. Continue to be tested. Continue to get your vaccinations. The best way to beat COVID-19 is get vaccinated. And that will help you out a whole lot. I want to congratulate our Leslie County High School cheerleaders. They yesterday won the Grand and National Championships in Florida. I know they've been down there participating, doing some competition. We got a phone call, so let's go to the lines and see what's on Ryan's mind. See, go ahead, call. You're on the C.J. Howard Show. Well, Ryan, I appreciate you calling. Hopefully next year we'll have our phone line and everything much better to where the co-host, when we have one, we'll be able to hear it, and everybody will be able to hear it out there in Radio Land and our TV watching them here on the network. So we just appreciate it. But I appreciate you because you take your time and be able to call. That means a lot to me, and thank you. I either Everett or Kaywood because because I know them. I would say MC Napier, uh, but I think even if we didn't have Perry Central today, I still think Dils Combs and MC Napier would still be very successful. But I miss Everett and Kaywood because they were schools that we played a lot. And traveling over that way, now you go over there. If you go, it's for Harlan County and Harlan. So you miss those teams over that way. Yeah, I think they were. Yeah, we've heard from Freddie Maggart, who used to play for the Cumberland High School. He talked about the days when they were. It was dog eat dog world when it was so competitive. Athletes everywhere. From I would say 80 to about 1991, before really consolidation really began majorly. Some of these little schools they could pack a punch. In football, basketball, baseball, any sport you play, and they can pack a punch. But when you went to some of these little schools like Everett and Cumberland and Kaywood, when you go inside their gymnasium, if you've never been there, the atmosphere was unbelievable. Yeah, that was very warm in there. So did Cumberland. Yeah, it was very hot in there too. Now, Kaywood was more of an open dome type of gymnasium. You can still, I think the middle school is still using it, if I'm thinking right. So you could, it was a very nice facility. Yeah, we've lost a lot. Yeah, we've not had a consolidation in quite a while. I don't think we would see any more. I say that and there'll be one more pop up, but I do think I still think we do need to realign our districts and regions a little bit. I think with these having teams, only two teams in a district or three teams in a district, some of that's a disadvantage to competition. I've said that before, and I'll say it again until we can. And I know it's hard to redo that, but it's something we need to look into. And hopefully, I'm gonna bring it up with the commissioner later tonight. Well, hopefully he'll have an idea, maybe something that can be done down the road. I do, but I can't remember the other two teams was in there with Paintsville. I think it was like uh, Fairview was it Raceland. Yeah, they say you don't. What I don't football is probably hard because you don't. If you're a champion, you're not going to play a first round game if you only got three teams and like that's going to happen to Hazard this coming season. Hazard, Pikeville, Hazard, and what was the new school that Chad Penny Sayre, Hazard, and Pikeville will be by themselves because Phelps is not participating in district play. So there's only going to be three teams in that district. So that's going to wind up being a problem because, the other district has four teams. Well, Williamsburg, Lynn Camp, Harlan, and Pineville. Well, so, whoever wins the Hazard Pikeville game or Sayre, whatever wins the district, it's going to have to sit out in the opening round. So, because we're going back to the old format, the first first three rounds of the playoffs. So somebody's going to be sitting out unless there's another team put in there. But we're going to talk with that. I'll talk to the commissioner about that too and see what he thinks ideas and such. Well, I appreciate you calling, Ryan. People like you and some others has tried to call, and unfortunately, I've not been able to get them on the air. But the ones we have gotten on the air, I really appreciate you guys calling. And next year, we're going to do a much better job here getting this phone line fixed where everybody can hear it all over the place, even everybody. So we'll get it worked on. But Ryan, thank you so much for calling. All right, thank you, Ryan. All right, Ryan Farmer from Wesley County, as he's talking about the old schools here. Want to get a little word in him. Joining us now is our good friend of the show, Jeff Drummond from Cats Illustrated. Jeff has been a very busy man here the past week or two, and we want to welcome him to the show. Welcome to the show, Jeff.
What's happening, CJ? How are you?
I'm doing very well, very
Trying
well.
to find my sweet spot here. There we go.
I have that problem too sometimes. I can't find my spot. Let's get into it real quick. Start with yesterday. I was very impressed. I don't know what the comments, the stuff I've been reading. People seem to be very happy with everything that went on yesterday at Commonwealth Field, but I was tickled to death because I thought we saw a lot of good things there that may relate into some more good things when we get to the football season.
Yeah, I think a big part of that, CJ, is you've got a proven quarterback who can be a star. And when you start with that foundation, I think that makes fans feel a lot more at ease about going into a new season with some other question marks, because you've at least got a guy back there that you know beyond a shadow of a doubt can lead you to wins in the SEC at the quarterback spot. And Kentucky hasn't been able to say that a whole lot during Mark Stoops' tenure. It's been a little hit and miss there. So I think having Will Levis there, and man, he looked really sharp on Saturday. He only played 2 series, but he was 7 of 8 for about 100 yards, 2 touchdown passes. Looked like he was in total control. So when you have that in place, when you have the big blue wall and people have a lot of confidence in Kentucky being able to continue the tradition up front with the O-line, you've got one of the better backs in the SEC with Chris Rodriguez and, some key transfers who have come in. Things just look fairly promising to me right now.
There was one running back yesterday that stepped in there, got some. I'm gonna try to, if I can get the stats up here. Mike Denon. Not heard much about him. Tell me about him, because he seemed to shine yesterday. He seemed to be something that may be a spark plug for the Cats.
Yeah, it's an interesting question with him this spring, because if you look at the talent they have at running back, starting with Rodriguez, who's your clear number one and going to get the bulk of the carries. And then you got Juton McClain, who they think is just a superstar waiting to happen in the 2 spot. You've got a senior with Cavassier Smoke, hanging around and still a potent threat in the backfield. And then you get all the way down to Drennan, maybe 4th or 5th, depending on who you ask. A lot of people have been wondering whether he's part of this roster after spring ends, because he's way too talented to be a 4th or 5th string running back somewhere. And I think he showed some of that in this game. Now, maybe he just likes the program so much, likes Lexington, what he's doing, on and off the field, that they may be able to hang on to him, and that'd be a good thing. But I'm a little skeptical right now. I think he can go somewhere and maybe help somebody else in a hurry if he's of that mindset.
I would like to see him stay. I was impressed with his speed. I thought Smoke played better yesterday. I thought he played more under control. When he's running the ball, I thought he gathered himself a lot better. I thought he played really well. The other quarterback that I thought played well was the transfer from Iowa, Deuce Hogan. He got in there 7 of 11. It's going to be a battle between him and Bo Allen for the backup spot behind Levis, because both of them look pretty decent. I mean, Bo had a pretty good day. He was 4 of 11, but Hogan took advantage of the situation.
I think Bo was victimized a couple of times by guys dropping the ball that could have helped his numbers a lot better. He should have had a touchdown pass to Chris Lewis in the end zone. That one got away from him, a couple others. But I did think that Hogan looked every bit as talented as Bo did, and capable to be that number 2 guy. And that's always important, when you play in a league like this that has the kind of defenders and the people that can put hits on you like you see in the SEC. Plus, with Will Levis's love of carrying the ball and putting his body on the line, you got to have a good number 2 in place. And I think the Cats have at least a couple of options there, that it wouldn't be the end of the world if you had to play those guys.
Even the 4th quarterback didn't look too bad. Kay Sheraton, the Somerset kid, he actually, all 4 quarterbacks played well yesterday. I don't know if we went from one time having no quarterbacks, and we had to use a receiver to finish the season, to now we've got 4, I think, trustworthy quarterbacks that you could probably depend on if you had to in a situation if something happened, if somebody got hurt, 1, 2. But I think we're in pretty good shape with the quarterbacks.
I think there, at least 3. And like you said, with Kaya, a talented guy that they like a lot. They've liked him ever since he came to their camp as a high school kid. He just needs a little bit more time to develop like you usually do. But it all goes back to Mark Stoops and his staff and their philosophy in recruiting. They want balance and depth at every position across the board. And that's what you've seen happen over the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, no question about it. And the receiving core yesterday, very impressive. We talked about maybe a couple of these running backs. Could a couple of these running backs maybe fit more in a receiving type atmosphere? Because we also saw yesterday where Denton caught 2 passes for 26 yards. I think Rodriguez caught a couple passes for about 20 yards. So could we see maybe the receivers too playing some receiver? Running backs playing receiver?
Well, McLean and Drennan are the 2 primary guys in that regard who could probably flex out and you would be okay. We even saw a couple of those sets. The first time the 2s came on the field, we saw McLean and Drennan out there together. They've tried Drennan at wide receiver a little bit in the past just because what I was talking about earlier, they want to get him on the field somehow. He's too good to be standing around doing nothing. But there's so much depth that it's really become hard. And I don't think he really didn't take to the receiver position as naturally as a running back. Good news for him now, though, with Rich Scangarello, the new offensive coordinator from the 49ers, he loves throwing to the backs. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a big part of Kentucky's offense this year. Like, we haven't seen a whole lot of it probably in the last decade, even though a lot of us were saying, please get the ball into these playmakers' hands. I think it's finally going to happen because you have more of a NFL mindset calling the plays this year where running backs, fullbacks, H-backs, tight ends, that's going to be a lot bigger deal than it has been in the past.
We didn't see much of the tight ends catch. In the stats, I didn't see any tight ends catch a pass, but I might have missed where one did. But overall, what would you give the spring game from A to F?
Oh, I would say I would lean towards the B+ category. They came in with 2 priorities. Number 1 was to kind of give the fans a decent show without showing a whole lot of what they're going to do because they've got Florida really early. I think
week 2.
Second week. They are not Will Levis told me afterwards, you saw about 25% of the playbook. Mm-hmm. And even in one situation around the goal line, they called the same play 3 times in a row because Scangarello just wasn't going to show any of this other stuff they got going. They've got some really clever stuff that's going to be in the package. So that was the first thing. The second thing is don't get anybody hurt. Mm-hmm. And I think they accomplished both of those goals. Would have liked to seen a little more for the tight ends, definitely, because they've got a lot of talent there. Only a catch or 2 that I can remember. Mm-hmm. Would have liked to seen a little bit more resistance from the defensive backs. And that's going to be an ongoing question mark going into fall camp because they're razor thin at corner. They feel like they've got 2 now, Valentine and Phillips. Mm-hmm. Phillips has really emerged this spring and given them a second guy. In the SEC, the way almost every other team's playing, spread out with 4 wide and flinging it all over, you need 3 or 4 guys. At least. And when they lost Vito Tisdale, that was a big deal because they were going to try him as a little bit of a hybrid nickel type guy. He was very talented. So what this leaves us with, you're counting on some really young, unproven guys or trying to find somebody in the portal at the end of spring. When spring ends for all these teams across the country, you see a ton of guys, maybe like we talked about earlier with Drennan, who are talented but just don't have an opportunity wherever they are. Maybe there's a 3rd or 4th guy at Bama who just got through spring practice and he's like, man, I'm buried on this depth chart. I need somewhere to play. Maybe it's Kentucky. We saw that with Kelvin Joseph at LSU. Came in here big-time NFL draft pick.
Yeah.
They need to find another guy like that, I think, to maybe take this defense to the next level.
The opener against Miami of Ohio, it's a home opener. Miami of Ohio ain't too bad. That'll be a good opener to get them ready for the Florida game. And then I think they have 2 non-conference games after the Florida game. What are we going to do when we get to the real thing? Could Kentucky? I noticed where Kentucky is rated in an early preseason top 25 poll, 19th. Could they really be in the top 25 come the preseason?
Yeah, I think so. There's enough returning talent there to make that happen, especially when you look at having one of the better quarterbacks in the league, one of the better running backs in the league, an offensive line that people feel good about, a really good wide receiver transfer, from Virginia Tech, who looks like he could kind of inherit that Wan'Dale Robinson role and maybe even build on his game like Wan'Dale did.
Yep.
When you've got that in place, and then over on the defense, that's where they've really recruited outstanding for the last several years. They've got a nice defensive front and old in a good way, experienced linebackers have played a ton.
Yeah.
So I think that's fair. I would think they could be anywhere from 15 to 20, maybe.
Yeah.
Opening season.
I think I saw in that early East top 25 poll, I saw 7 SEC teams in there. Alabama, of course, was number 1. I saw Florida in there. Tennessee was in there. Arkansas was in there. Kentucky. I think I saw Georgia. No, Georgia was in there, and Auburn was like down at the main bottom. Is Will Levis? Does he have a chance if he gets to the season healthy, puts up the big numbers? Has he gotten his draft stock better now than what it was when he first came to Kentucky? So I don't even think being drafted was even in his vocabulary. Now, I think some teams, if he stays healthy, puts up big time numbers, he might be in the draft conversation around 2nd, 3rd round somewhere. What are you thinking?
He's got all the tools right now. He's got the size you look for. He's got the big arm. Huge arm. Physical guy, doesn't mind to run it, although the NFL probably doesn't want to see him running as much as he has at UK.
Yeah.
And he's emerged as a big-time leader. Done all the right things on and off the field. They like that about him. Mark Stoops, he's not prone to hyperbole. Mm-hmm. Generally, he will low-key a lot of players until they get out there and show it.
Yeah.
And we try to pry it out of him. How good is this guy? He'll wait until they have their moment on the field, and Will needs to do that. But earlier this spring, he used the term franchise quarterback with us. Okay. And they're starting to think this could be in this guy's future. I know during Pro Day, when every team in the league was represented, I think came up here and watched Kentucky's guys work out. And Will Levis hung around and threw for them afterwards, threw to some of the receivers, and they were blown away by his physical tools.
Yeah, he's got it all. He's got the type of game that I believe he's not. I don't think he's a top 2 pick, but if you can get him in the 3rd or 4th round, he's the one you could develop and make into a really great NFL quarterback because he's got like you said, he's got all the tools. He's got the good short game. I think NFL football anymore, if you can throw it, you're not going to throw it long every time. So you're going to use your running backs. You're going to use your short game. And I think he could be a perfect 2nd or 3rd or 4th round quarterback, even maybe a 2nd, depending on what numbers he puts up this year. So, I'm looking forward. I'm excited. I've been excited about UK football for the last 3 years, but I'm more excited this year than I ever have been because I think they've got tremendous wide receivers, tremendous running backs. Offense is fixed. I think the offense is really going to be good. Like you said, though, this defense is going to be under a spotlight every game. Can they not? What's the old saying? Don't break and don't bend, or don't bend, don't break. That's what this defense has to be for Kentucky to have a really good chance to beat like a Georgia or a Mississippi State or somebody really good that they haven't beaten in quite a while.
Yeah, I think the big key over there, again, it's all going to come down to secondary play.
Mm-hmm.
Can they get enough out of the corner positions to slow people down and not be playing from behind? Because that's the kind of the secret ingredient for UK's success in recent years and led to 2 10-win seasons. It's control the football, keep the other guy on the sideline as much as possible, and don't get behind by 10, 14 points every game. Mm-hmm. And right now, that's a possibility, especially as good as the offenses are in the league right now. That's not outside the realm of possibility to be behind in some games. But Kentucky wants to be a front runner, play from ahead. You lean on its ground game and put the pressure on the other team to come from behind. And if they're going to be successful this year, they need to do that again. We have no idea how they will react if they fall behind in games.
Yeah. I mean, it will be interesting to see how they do from there. Got a couple of basketball questions. I'll let you go. We're starting to see the shape of the roster. I think we're starting to see it. We still got Oscar pending what he's going to decide what he's going to do. Just by your looking, will Oscar come back? And if not, that's going to leave 5, if I counted right, 5 open scholarship or 5 spots open for the Cats. Could we possibility get 5 out of the transfer portal? If Oscar don't come back, or if Sharp decides he wants to come back. Now, but what are we looking at here?
Everything we've heard of late indicates that Oscar wants to be back, thinks he'll be back, but there are a couple of I's to be dotted and T's to be crossed. We received some news earlier this week that it looks like it's heading in that direction. Okay. UK is feeling more confident than ever right now that they'll have him back. It's not a lock. It's not a done deal, but I feel really good about it. And the number one thing there is he wants to. And where, there's a will, a lot of times there's a way. And they're working on that way right now. That gives you the foundation for everything else you want to do. If you got Oscar in there.
Oh, Lord, yeah.
Makes up for a lot of other issues.
If he goes, though, ain't he a top 5 pick?
Oscar?
Yeah.
Now, from everything we understand, he is not on the NBA boards right now.
Wow.
For 2 big reasons.
Okay.
He's certainly not in the first round.
Okay.
There's some people that have him 45 to 50 second round, but those people are kind of the minority. Most are leaving him off, and the big reasons are here. And unless you watch a lot of the pro game, it may not make sense to, like, my family always asks me that, and they don't watch the NBA at all. Mm-hmm. And I explained to them the NBA has turned into something completely different than when I was growing up. Mm-hmm. And we were watching Kareem and Robert Parrish and Kevin McHale. Big guys aren't camping out around the basket anymore. They ask them to go out on the floor, face up, handle the ball, shoot the ball. You got to be able to shoot the 3. So Oscar has a very limited handle. His shooting's pretty good around the free throw line. Hasn't really developed beyond that yet out to 20, 22 feet. Mm-hmm. And around the basket, he's great in college, but he's very ordinary, even subpar in the NBA in terms of explosiveness and being able to finish. The guys in the NBA would eat him alive on those putbacks. So what they've got to do with him is find a way to get him back in here, work on those elements of the game. Maybe if Damian Collins develops enough, you can play off of each other like that and let Oscar have a chance to showcase some of these other things he can do. And then maybe that following year, the hope is he elevates himself from 45 to maybe the bottom of the first round.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
A little bit higher. Yeah. But there are things there that are going to make it tough. And the 2 biggest ones that aren't going to change are 6'9" and no exceptional leaping ability.
Yeah. But we'll have to wait and see. I hope he comes back though, because I think. What about Sharp? What we hearing about him? Is he gone?
I'm kind of the opposite on him as I am on Oscar. If I was 99% on Oscar, I'd be maybe 1% on Sharp at this point. And about a week or so ago, we got some news that, well, maybe it's not that dire. Maybe there's a chance. But that it seems like every other day you hear something that makes you feel different. And I don't expect him to be back. I think he's probably going to be moving on. If they have him 5 to 10 range, there's no point in him coming back. Now, I'm skeptical if he's actually going to go that high because nobody's seen him play ball in a year and a half.
Yeah.
Or so. How are you going to – if you're a GM in the NBA, would you want to stake your career on
No, I've never seen before. No.
6 or 7 pick that hadn't done anything for a year and a half?
Yep.
That's scary stuff. Now, if he is that good, you look great, and you probably
you be a genius.
you can retire on it. But I have a feeling he's going to go, and then he's going to end up being much later than they're saying. So everybody's going to be kind of disappointed. UK fans are going to be disappointed. Shaden Sharp, I think, is going to be disappointed with where he winds up.
All right, one women's question. I'll let you get out of here. I know the roster's been gutted a little bit with Howard. She'll be in the WNBA draft tomorrow night. The 3 women leaving in the transfer portal, they have signed 3 girls, but they've got a bunch of open spots. How are they going to have to go to the transfer portal? Because they got a bunch of open spots now with people coming and going.
Yeah, I think so. And the beauty of it for UK has so much to offer. And we saw it with the Edwards girl that came in and helped them this year and won that game against South Carolina with her huge shot that she hit. I think there are some other people like that out there who would like to come to the SEC and have the opportunity to step right into a program like Kentucky and contribute right away. But can Kyra Elsie, build the chemistry that she needs with a bunch of transfers? That's the hard thing, because they're going to need a boatload of help coming up.
I mean, if they don't right now, they're going to be a young basketball team because they're going to have a lot of freshmen and sophomore and very few seniors and juniors. So she's really going to have her work cut out for her, because she just got an extension up to 2027. So we'll see what the ladies do. Jeff, I love it when you come on here. You're just a boatload full of knowledge. I'll be hollering at you for season 3 right when we get ready to start UK football. I'll be hollering at you so you can get us ready for what we'll be looking forward to in the upcoming fall. But you have a good summer and the rest of spring, and thank you very much for coming on, and I'll talk to you sometime in the fall.
Hey, it's always a pleasure, CJ. You can call on me anytime you want. And good luck with the show, and hope to talk to you again soon.
All right. Thank you, Jeff. Jeff Drummond from Cats Illustrated joining us, talk about yesterday's spring game and on some other UK stuff. Thank him very much for that. Okay, now we're going to switch areas a little bit here. Joining us is a good friend of mine, Henry Shaw. Guys, you probably don't know Henry very well. He's a really good guy. He's a professional wrestler. Wrestles for all over eastern and southeastern Kentucky. He is he's going to correct me on this. He's actually the CEO and commissioner of a new wrestling they're bringing to Corbin, and it's all Elite Pro Wrestling, APW. The first show is coming up on Saturday night at 7:30 at the Corbin Civic Center there in Corbin. And Henry, it is awesome to have you with us.
Well, thank you very much, CJ, to have me. And by the way, it is Allied Pro Wrestling is what we're bringing to Corbin, Kentucky on April 16th.
I need to be corrected sometimes. I knew I would say that wrong. I knew I would say that wrong, but
oh, you're good.
Let's talk about you first. A lot of people, I know that they've caught different wrestlings here in Kentucky throughout. They probably seen you wrestle for several different promoters and promotions. Tell everybody how you got involved in wrestling, and tell everybody just what time consuming this is, because people think this is not very, very time consuming, but it really can be, because there's a lot you got to do.
Yes. Well, let's go back about 18 years. I was in a gym, a fitness gym back home where I'm from. And a friend of mine said, "Hey, let's go watch the local wrestling that's coming to town." I said, "Okay, cool." So I went to a Lloyd M. Hall Community Center in Sayersville, Kentucky, where NWA Bluegrass was running a show that night. And a friend of mine that I went to high school was actually a referee for the NWA Bluegrass. Talked to him after the show, had a lot of fun at the show. Talked to him after the show and told him I would give anything to do this. I've always wanted to try it. And lo and behold, he said, "Hey, we're having tryouts." And I said, "Well, win, name the place, win." So about 3 weeks later, I got to try out. Well, wouldn't say I actually got to try out. I helped set up the ring at the Martin County Fair in Inez. And basically, we didn't get a train or anything, but the ring was set up, and I was actually standing in a ring. And that right there, to me, was mind-blowing as it is. And a friend of mine said, "Hey, clothesline me." And I said, "What does that mean?" And he just throws your arm out there, and he runs into me. And he fell down, and I was like, this is what I want to do. And lo and behold, 18 years later, still going. But yeah, as you say, time consuming. Yes, absolutely. I can recall years of wrestling almost every weekend of the week, if not 2 to 3 times a week, especially back in 06 and 07. I would travel to Ohio, West Virginia, and Tennessee, almost drop of a hat. Then it was a lot harder to get bookings. Like, it's easier now because you got social media presence and everything. But how you got bookings back in the day was either word of mouth or you just go to a show and show up. Like, sometimes we went to places up in Zanesville, Ohio, because a friend of mine was booked, but we would just show up with him and like, "Hey, you got any room for us?" And they were like, "No, you have to just hang out or basically, yeah, you got gear with you, come on in." And that's basically what it is. But yeah, it is very, very time consuming. And like, I've done this 18 years and I do not know everything about wrestling. No one on this earth knows everything about wrestling. Like, there's certain guys that think I'm really good, I don't need to train, but we still train. I still train when I can. And everybody, if you got access, like I always tell wrestlers, if you got access to a ring, you train, because you never know what you can learn, even though you don't think you might know it. You may know it a different way. But you're always learning, no matter what level you're in, because those guys in the big leagues and WWE and AEW and Impact, they're always training. I mean, I don't care what anyone says, they're always training. But yeah, time consuming. Yeah, just about every day of your life, something to do with wrestling has come across me, whether it's a conversation or thinking about it or anything. But yeah, basically 24/7, 7 days a week.
Promoters have a hard job. They have to get the wrestlers there. They have to get the program set. They have to get everything ready. I've gotten the opportunity this past year to be behind the scenes at AMW. Loved my time there. Learned so much about the ins and outs of what wrestling is and what wrestling isn't.
Yes.
Learned what really goes on. But explain to people that this is people think it's fake. But tell them, just explain to them that there's some things that are real.
Well, I will say this. It is, the F word is what it's called in the business. Nobody wants to say the F word. Fake? No. 100% it is not. Choreographed? I will call it that. We still get hurt no matter what. I mean, like, I have bruises and cuts on my arm and my forehead from this past Friday in London. And I hurt all the time. I mean, it's just like playing football or any other sport growing up. You hurt after a game or after practice. It's the same thing. I have never not felt anything. And it's kind of a crazy thing to do, but it's what keeps you going. Like, there's some days that I'll be sore, but then other days I'll be like, well, that was fun, but I don't know why I'm not hurting. And about 4 days later, it'll hit me. But no, we get hurt all the time. You know, injuries are common in wrestling. I can say, you know, over past 18 years, injury wise, I've been injured maybe 3 times, but as of actually been hurt almost every time something happens, you know, bruise, cut, whatever, something happens.
But when you're training, they teach you guys how to be able to handle yourself in the ring to where you won't get hurt.
Yeah. Well, I mean, any little slip up can happen. One of my injuries that still lingers to this day was caused by a referee. Back in 2014, I have bicep tendonitis because of a referee, and all it was because I got into his face and he shoved me. But the way he shoved me was, I mean, he shoved me down, and then I fell like I'm supposed to do, but something didn't add up, and I end up hurting myself. And you know, lo and behold, it still hurts to this day.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I've seen a lot of wrestlers come out of there. There's been some of them I think, well, how they're surviving. I mean, chair shots and off the top rope and diving on a pile full of people. And I mean, it's you got to know how to be able to be safe with it and do it for the entertainment of the fans. Yeah. I don't know what you guys think you're getting into coming to Corbin, but I'm going to tell you right now that you're going to have probably a packed house come Saturday night. I'm going to be right there.
That's what I love to hear.
I'm hearing a lot. Well, a lot of people love wrestling. You know, I've been checking out TSW. I've been to a couple of their events since they've come back. They've had some packed houses. A lot of people said they're going to come up there Saturday night and check you guys out. You guys have got a lot of familiar wrestlers on the card. Now, also people need to realize too that I think some don't, some do, that all these wrestlers are not just organized with APW. They got other places they can go wrestle too. Explain that a little bit.
Well, basically, it's not like we're there's some places that they have what's called contracts. OVW has basically a contract if you start on them with full time, but guys and girls coming in and out of there all the time. Which I mean, I'm not fully, I don't know the full extent of the contract. They may not do contracts anymore, for all I know, but back in the day they used to. Independent wrestling is where basically the wrestler himself or herself is a contractor for any promotion they want to go to. There is no set promotion that we have to stay at. Now, some guys and girls stay at certain promotions because that's all they want to work. But as for us, I've got wrestlers that are from basically all over the state. I've got Ray Waddell out of WWA, and Ray Waddell is very famous out in WWA in Owensboro, which Ray Waddell is one of the best wrestlers I've ever seen and been in the ring with. We'll say that. Well, I will say that. I've got Marty Clay. Marty Clay is awful famous back in East Kentucky, especially in Hazard. Marcus Johnson has been a fan favorite in Central Kentucky. He's been all over the place a few times. And then, of course, Corbin knows old Jay Smooth really, really well.
How can anybody forget about Jay Smooth?
Well, I mean, he is. I mean, you can see his bald head from a mile away. I could say that, but But Jay's real famous around that way. That's one reason I wanted to run. Or actually, I had him before we even started Corbin. I'm friends with Jay for a long time, and which everybody on the card. There's a couple of them I don't know. There's some of them that's just gotten the wrestling business a couple of years, but people like Marcus and Ray and me, we've got that 12 and 13 years and above experience and everything. We got a couple old guys that's here and there. A couple guys haven't wrestled in a while, but they've been eager to get back into it. The matches I've got put together and everything, I want it to be to where the fans are going to get the best experience out of it. I want to match up. Like to myself, I would love to see Marty Clay and Ray Waddell go at it themselves. That's a match I really want to see myself.
My wife would love that match.
Yes. Jay Smooth and 747, and 747 is a bigger guy than me, and I would like to see 747 throw Jay Smooth around because it will be quite pretty easy.
My wife's pumped up about this. She's a big fan of yours. When she's known you for quite a while, when you used to do some stuff at TSW and stuff like that, she's a fan of yours. She's a fan of Jay Smoot. she's a fan of the OTSW guys, and a lot of them you have on this roster.
Yeah.
And that's exciting to see. But now, is women going to be coming wrestling too in here, please? Are they?
Yes.
Are they?
Yeah, we'll have them. Eventually, I will say there's a lot less women wrestlers in the state of Kentucky than there are men. There's a lot more. Technically everywhere. I would love to have more, female wrestlers out on the card as much as they. But like I said, they're more scarce than they are men. I welcome it, at all and everything. And who knows who may show up, who may not. And, this Saturday, I guess I won't give any details away or anything, but I have an idea some things may happen. I've heard some rumors that may happen or anything like that. But, if more female wrestlers, if they, some have reached out to me, some I've reached out to for future shows and everything. So we'll, the future will be open to them, of course.
I know, but before COVID, TSW was really good. They had a bunch of good women wrestling. They had a women's champ. They was getting ready to crown the first women's champion before COVID came, and then wrestling changed a lot after COVID. Let's get everybody up to date on this. This is going to be coming up on Saturday night, August 16th, at the Corbin Civic Center. Now, if you don't know where this is at, there's a couple ways you can go. The best way I would tell you how to go is at the bottom of the hill there at the first lights when you start into the court in the city limits of Corbin. There's a card shop. Climb the hill right there. It's about 5 or 6 miles up there. The Civic Center, you cannot miss it. It's got a baseball field right beside it, a soccer field. The doors open at 6 o'clock. And
6:45.
6:45.
April 16th, 6:45. Doors open at 6:45. Bell time is going to be at 7:30.
This is going to be the first of events you're going to have every month. Do you understand that?
Well, the Corbin Civic Center is real hard to book. I've got this one April 16th, July 2nd, and August 20th. So far. Yeah.
So you'll have to move it around a little bit to other places. So you'll let people know that where it's going to be stuff.
Yeah, I'm currently negotiating with some places right now, and we're in talks with some others, and I'll announce that later on at another date. Yeah.
I guess the biggest question of all is when you have your first ever show as a promoter and as a new wrestling organization, people are going to look and see what they like and what they don't like, and if they're going to come back. But yes. I know the people in Corbin, when TSW was really strong, they hung on for a long time. I mean, I'd see 500, 600, 700 people. I think you guys could possibly get that on Saturday night, because I think there's a lot of people that really love wrestling, and they want to check you guys out. Now, I'm going to promote this hard for you too. I'm going to put it out there, guys. You come check this out. Professional wrestling coming to Corbin Civic Center on Saturday night. Doors open at 6:45. Bell time is 7:30. Now they also need to understand that this is the first round of the tournament to crown a new APW World Champion. This will not be done that night.
I will stop you there. Okay. It will be. We will crown our first ever. Yeah, we will crown our first ever APW champion that night in Corbin on April 16th. We thought about laying it, a couple weeks later, but where we got pushed back. See, we had the May. We had a May booking in. We're going to crown that night, but we got double booked, and obviously the people who had the Corbin Civic Center before us got it, so they went ahead and canceled us. So we decided, the board of trustees, I guess you could say, decided that we were going to go ahead and go with the entire tournament that night. So there'll be a lot of wrestling going on that night. I will say that probably off the top of my head, there will probably be about 8 to 9 matches that night. So we'll give the people the money's worth that night, of course.
And of course, I would figure down the road, you guys will crown tag team champions, and then maybe another singles title. And then if you have enough women, you may even crown a APW women's champion eventually one time.
We just got to get the ball rolling, I guess you could say, and we'll later, announce that at a later date. But eventually, the tag champions will be the next. I can't say when because, we haven't decided yet, but we'll give this enough time to where we'll announce it, and we'll may have a tag tournament or just an all-out tag war. We just have to decide what we got and go through there.
Yeah. Again, Corbin Civic Center next Sunday night or Saturday night, August 16th, April 16th. Sorry, the first ever show for APW. Bell time is 7:30. Doors open at 6:45. Henry, thank you so much for coming on and promoting this for you guys. I know how important this was. I know how important we need to get this out there. I'm expecting a big crowd there for you. Me and my wife, we're going to be right there. We're going to be there. I'm pumped. I can't wait. I got a lot of friends there I've known and seen wrestle, and can't wait to see them wrestle again. And it's going to be a lot of fun. And you'll have your people cheering for the heels, and you'll have your people cheering for the good guys. So, should be a great night of wrestling. I hope nothing but the best for you guys, and I hope you guys are around for a long time and have the best success.
Thank you very much, CJ. Thank you for having me. We'll see you Saturday.
All right. We'll see you Saturday night, Henry. Henry Shaw, Commissioner, CEO of APW Wrestling. You can check them out at the Corbin Civic Center on Saturday night, April 16th at 7:30. That's the bell time, 6:45. The doors open. Again, Henry, thank you so much, and we'll appreciate your time.
Thank you, CJ.
All right. See you later.
See you.
Okay, Henry Shaw just joining us there. We're going to have the commissioner of the KHSAA with us in just a moment, at 9 o'clock, actually. He'll be with us as guys, would you give me a phone call? 1-346-314-0906. So we heard from Ryan Farber earlier. Let me hear from you. Give me a call. Guys, give me leave me some comments. I've had very few tonight. I've only had 3. Let it rip, Tater Chip. Let's go. This is the season finale. If you're out there, watch. Let me know you're watching. Let me know you're paying attention. Give me a phone call. Again, the phone number 1-346-314-0906. We want to hear from you here on the CJ Harris Show. Commissioner will be joining us here in just about 10 minutes. We're going to got a lot to go over with him. Let's go over some stuff right now that some notes and stuff that we've not done. We've not done this. This was sort of a simple review is what we're going to do here now. This has been a fun year of season 2 of the CJ Harris Show. We've had a lot of people on the show this year. I made a guest list of everybody that's been on season 2. We started back on August the 8th, and we've run all the way to today. I want to thank everybody that's been a guest or a co-host that's been on the show. I know some people probably get aggravated when they see me message them. I just want the best people and best guests on this show so our people in our communities can have a lot to be proud of. Now, next year, there is a couple of things that I'm going to be doing a little bit different. One segment of my show is going to be related to the athletes of Eastern Kentucky and Southeast Kentucky. We're going to try to get interviews with those kids along with our coaches and our media people. Mark Collett brought that up to me. He thought that'd be a great idea. And it was a great idea because I'm already in the works to do that. I also pray that I can take the show on the road sometime next year to different places. Maybe I would love to do a show at Hyden, Kentucky at the Hardee's Red Burrito if Betty Brock would allow us to come. And maybe Leslie County can have a charity night out of that. Would like to do that. Got some other things we want to do. We have got a phone call. Let's see who we got right now. Let's see who we got on the line here. Okay, go ahead, caller. You're on the CJ Harris Show. Oh, what's up? Oh, guys, we just had Henry on here just a few moments ago, and now with us is Jay Smooth, one of the big-time wrestlers. If you've known Jay for a long time, he's a really great guy. He's wrestled all over Kentucky and Tennessee and all over the world. Jay, it's good to hear from you. We ain't got started. You've already. Oh, well, thank you so much for stepping in there. So that means Saturday night you're going to be bringing the whole shebang to Corbin. They don't know what they're getting into, do they? We've seen. Listen, you're one of our favorite wrestlers, regardless if you're a good guy or bad guy, whatever. We still like watching you because you perform at the highest level, and that's what we like. We like to see wrestlers that wrestle at the highest level. Well, anytime you want to call this show, Jay Smooth, or be a part of it, you let me know, and I can hook you up next season. Make sure that gets done. Thank you so much, Jay, and I can't wait to see you on Saturday night at the Corbin Civic Center. All right, good night. Thank you. Jay Smooth, son of a billionaire, called us here on the CJ Howard Show. He's had enough of the APW wrestlers. He's ready to go in there and take names and kick tail come Saturday night there at the Corbin Arena. That's what we want, guys. Dial that phone number up there. Give me a call, 313-461-346-314-0906. This is the season finale of the CJ Howard Show. We want everybody leave your comments, just like Jason Belcher is right now. He's saying hi to me. Guys, leave your comments. If you want to give me a call, give me a call. We're going to hear from the commissioner of the KHSAA here in about 4 to 10 minutes, maybe, whenever he can come on. We're also going to hear from John Lowe at 9:30. John's going to give us his favorite moments of the past season, and we're going to look ahead to football season and some of the players that we need to look for and some of the teams we need to look at as we head into the 22 football season. We've already had a really good show. I wish Ryan could have been on here tonight. I understand, though, he had to do some stuff for KSR. And then, I love having a co-host because it makes it easier for my job. But when sometimes people's got other things they have to do, so the show has to go on, and it's nothing. We'll keep it going. But what we're talking about, some moments this past we've had. Isaac Dixon was Mr. Football in this past season. Our Miss Basketball and Mr. Basketball was Turner Buttery from Bowling Green. And Miss Basketball was Amara Jenkins from Anderson County. Some new high school football coaches coming into the 22 season, where Johnson Central found their replacement for Coach Jim Matney. We're going to talk about Coach Matney in just a moment. But Jesse Peck took over the program. So we'll see how Jesse does. Jesse was a member of the staff, and I think a lot of the staff is coming back. So familiarity will be there. We do miss Coach all the time, but we'll talk about that in just a second. Rockcastle County got their homeboy to come back. Chris Larkey coming back home. We talked to Chris a couple weeks ago. The Rockcastle County new head football coach taking over for Coach Parkey, who retired, and we'll go there as well. All right, now joining us is the commissioner of the KHSAA, Mr. Julian Tackett. Mr. Julian, good evening, sir. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, CJ. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you crystal clear.
Perfect.
Crystal clear. Phenomenal to have you on the show with me. I was, first of all, I want to say I'm saddened that I didn't get to be at the state tournament this year. Financially, I didn't have the way to get tickets, or I also tried to get a pass, but apparently my show's not well known enough. So I'll try again maybe next year. Maybe I'll get a pass or something. Maybe. I know you like to take pictures of me over sleeping, and I gotta give your crowd something to look at while so.
Absolutely. Got to give us something to talk about.
Commissioner, you've been a busy man, a lot going on. But I want to go back a little bit. I took some notes here, and I I want to go back to we're going back to look at some of your champions in other sports, and we're going to start off in field hockey, and then we'll go down to volleyball, then we'll go to girls soccer and boys soccer. A lot of people don't understand that these other programs are just as important as basketball, football, baseball. Those are softball. Those are the ones that get the most watched. But these other sports are important too, Commissioner, because there's a lot of great athletes in these sports.
Well, and I think it's also, you have to put it in the perspective of the families and the kids. I mean, who's going to tell somebody that their kid, because they play this one sport, is not as important as the other sport? So, we definitely try to treat all of them the same. And no, they don't bring in the same revenue. They don't have the same amount of publicity and all, but they're just as critical to that family and to that parent as anything else that's going on.
Now, the field hockey was the first year for it, wasn't it? Is that correct?
Well, no, we've been doing it 4 or 5 years. It's the field hockey championship's been going on more than about 30 years, but a few years back, our schools asked us to take over and manage the tournament, and it has it's worked out well. It hasn't grown like I think we would like it to. It's still centered in the Louisville, Oldham County, Jefferson County area, but we get a few inquiries each year. It's another opportunity for girls to have a championship that the boys don't play, and that's something very important to us as we try to give every student athlete an opportunity.
Sacred Heart ended up winning that championship this year, beating Assumption 1-0 in that state final. Then we went to football, which football was very, very successful. Crowd attendance, the games. I think we're back to where we used. I think we're back to a point to where we were before COVID. I even think we're in a better place before COVID, because I saw a lot more people come to games this year in football and basketball state tournament than I've ever seen before. Especially, the crowds were unbelievable at both of at this event. We had some great football state championship games.
I think the thing that helps that the most, we made some changes 3 or 4 years ago to how we bracket those games, and it has helped ensure that those games in the later rounds are better football games, and people want to come. They don't want to see the same team win every year by 5 touchdowns. It's just not. It's not good for the game. It's not good for the growth of the game. And we did have some outstanding games this year. And we have been blessed all year long. The attendance has been strong from field hockey right on through our most recent basketball championships. We've been very blessed. People have been cooped up for a while and wanted to get out. But we also still have a segment of people, we saw this in basketball too, that weren't quite ready to get out and spend 4 days with people yet. So, it's going to continue to get better. But it was very successful this year. All the events were.
Yeah. Let's give you your champions from football. Pikeville beat Russellville 30-27 in 1A. 2A, it was Beechwood defeating Lexington Christian 23-21. It was Boyle County defeating Johnson Sickrell 30-13. It was Belfry, after starting off 0-5, beating Paducah Tillman, who was another team that I think was like 1-4 when they started off the season, 33-28. It was South Warren beating Frederick Douglass 38-26, and then St. X beat Mayo 31-21. It felt a little weird to watch a 6A. I was watching these games online, but it felt weird to watch not see Trinity in the 6A final, because you used to see them there. But that's just good for St. X, because they were playing the best football all year long.
Well, I think that's the biggest thing you have to remember. It's not as we see at the college level and people talk about all the time. You don't win championships in the regular season. Just because you're the best football team the second week of August or third week of August when you have a bowl game doesn't mean you're the best football team. It just means you played well that night. The goal in competitive athletics almost all the time is to be able to get better as the season goes along. And we saw that really evident in our football. Johnson Central went through a lot of sorrow with the loss of their coach and a lot of things that went on, and they just rallied together, played really well, but just Boyle County had a very special team. And then Paducah Tillman, as you said, turned out to be quite the story. St. X played really well late. And so you never know. I mean, I still contend that high school coaching is one of the hardest things you can do, because you're trying to figure out how 17-year-olds are going to act at any one point in time. And it's not always predictable, but they do. We've been very blessed all year long with some really good competition.
Then we go to volleyball. I got out watching volleyball in the 14th region. Was really impressed with some of the girls teams I saw. But St. Henry ended up winning the volleyball 3-0 over Mercy. And of course, you guys play this tournament at George Rogers Clark. Now, I forgot to mention the field hockey tournament was played at Christian Academy out of Louisville. Volleyball is played at George Rogers Clark, and girls boys soccer is played at Frederick Douglass. These are the state championship sites, and then football, of course, is played at Commonwealth, at Kroger Field on Commonwealth there. But volleyball, St. Henry beating Mercer 3-0. I think our volleyball teams are really starting to get better all over the state. Not just, I know Louisville and Western Kentucky are stronger probably teams, but I think our mountain schools and some of our central schools are starting to be able to compete with our bigger schools.
Well, I think you've got to remember that the schools in Northern Kentucky and Louisville have been playing volleyball for 30 years longer than the rest of the state. So they've built up tradition. They've built up programs. They've got second and third generations of players who played, and their parents played, and in some cases even their grandparents played. You know, we were a little slow to adopt as a state, and I'm not talking about state office, talking about just as a state. We were slow to adopt girls sports, and a lot of our veteran administrators and a lot of them in the rural parts of the state just didn't really early on gravitate to supporting, to giving the financial support, hiring the coaches, giving the equipment. You know, we fought for a long time. Schools fought adopting volleyball because the basketball coach didn't want holes drilled in the floor. Because for the standards, you know, they were ready to do the 1970s model where you put the temporary net up and you had a spare tire with concrete in it and you rolled it out when they played.
I remember those.
Yeah, and you rolled it back off afterwards. And that's not the way the games be played. I remember one of the pretty heated discussion I got into with a couple of superintendents. They were saying that their survey showed that their schools wanted to do it, but their basketball coach didn't want that 4-inch hole drilled. And I can remember telling one of them that I believe I know who that coach's employer is, and they probably need to be thinking a little differently. So I think it's going to take a few more years to get true statewide parity. And you can't begrudge those that started 30 years ago. But the play is improving all over the state, and it's another opportunity for young ladies to have a top flight sport opportunity, and they really are taking advantage of it.
Oh, I love watching it. It's fun. I've seen a lot of good teams in the 13th and 14th this year in volleyball. Very, very impressive.
Let me mention one other thing too, CJ, because I think, you know, one of the things that's really changed, you know, when I was younger, to score in volleyball, you had to serve.
Yeah.
And now with what they call the rally scoring, you're scoring every point. So it's every time you serve, one of the teams can score. It's a much faster paced game. Mm-hmm. The girls are in much better condition. It is an exciting game. You bring that up that you saw some good games, and that's what we hear all over the place.
Yeah, I was excited. I think volleyball's off to a good run. Girls soccer this year, the champion was Notre Dame. They beat South Odom 1-0. And our boys champion in soccer was Paul Lunch Dunbar. They beat Covington Catholic 2-1. Soccer is another sport that's starting to really build. I think starting to get stronger statewide. Teams are starting to realize, okay, well, maybe we don't want to play football. Maybe we don't want to play volleyball. We got some people that can kick pretty good. Defend. Let's put them up. Let's get a soccer program. See how many we can get out. I know Leslie County's been trying to get a soccer program. They got some kids that don't play football and don't play volleyball that would love to play another sport. Because cross country is also in the fall sports, but soccer's come a long way.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that's really helped, we've now got around 80 of our schools have artificial surface, And one of the problems that you run into in some parts of our state is there's not a lot of land available. The soccer field is actually bigger than the football field if you do it correct by regulation. And so a lot of places have got their best flat ground opportunity to hold their football stadium, and they couldn't find a second one. By putting in the artificial turf, there's more of an opportunity to use the same field for both. We're seeing a lot of that, and then we're just seeing, frankly, it's an established game in the world, and it's just getting bigger and bigger in the United States, and therefore the kids want the opportunity, the parents want the opportunity for their kids to play, and so it continues to grow, and I think over the next 10 years it'll really grow in all parts of our state.
Yeah, no question about it. I had a couple of soccer coaches on during the during the first start of the season, and they mentioned how exciting soccer is. And look here, I'm a fan of all sports. If you can get out, you need to go out and support your local sports. Even if you don't have it at your school, go out and try to support something that you've not seen before. A lot of people has probably never seen soccer or volleyball or field hockey. Go out and check it out. It's worth your time and it's worth your money. And I just tell anybody, I'm for even cross country. Cross country's got some of the best athletes. We talk about our track and field being so good now, but our cross country, you ought to see the amount of people that are lined up around to watch the state finals. I mean, I've never seen that many people in my life, but it's unbelievable.
It is, and I think the other thing you're going to see happen, and this is just more of a bigger picture view of it, as there's more pressure about school choice and more opportunities where some of the old agreements between schools are not, the legislature's kind of loosening up and wanting parents to have choice. Your sports offerings are going to factor into when kids come to your school. Yeah. So I think that's why you're also going to continue to see growth in these things. But you don't have to be a real elite program to watch it. As you said, there's some outstanding cross-country teams in the mountains in the area you cover, and it's an exciting time. And you turn around that state meet, there is just tons of people. And last year was just a mud fest, and it looked like Woodstock. There were so many people there. You couldn't see it. It was crazy. It's unbelievable. If you've never been to the state finals across country, I suggest you go check it out, because it's those boys and girls, they put everything and it's a tough course to run. It ain't like track and field. Track and field, you're straight, you're jumping hurdles and this, that. They've got to run up hills and down hills. A lot of your courses during the regular season are mateship courses that these schools make, and they're tough. They are really tough. I mean, Carl Hurley always talked about the fact that with track and field, your answer was to start running, keep turning left, get back here as quick as you can. But with cross country, and I don't, it's a long time track participant. Now, granted, I threw track. I always tell everybody I threw track. I was a disc and shot put person. I was definitely not a runner. But for cross country, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. You could put a cross country course anywhere. One of the most beautiful cross country courses in our state is at Harlan County. Mm-hmm. Yep. And I mean, they just took a wooded area near the school, and I mean, it's a scenic. Most people would call it a hiking trail. Yep. They've turned it into a running trail. Coach Fitito does such a fantastic job with that, and it is just a super thing. And that's what goes on all over the state. You may think that, oh, they're running on a golf course, so it's not going to be very challenging. Well, in some parts of our state, even the golf courses are not very flat. So nope. You are really learning. You're having to learn how to pace. You're having to learn how to run up a hill. One of the things that the veteran cross country coaches always talk to me about is the challenge of teaching kids to run down a hill, because it'd be pretty easy to end up tail over elbows if you weren't careful. And you got to teach it, and then you've got to be able to do that while competing and running that distance. I mean, these are gifted student athletes, and it really doesn't matter what sport. They're all extremely talented.
I've heard a lot of the coaches say that some of these courses are not meant for kids; they're meant for older adults.
Absolutely.
I said, well, don't think some of the older adults could run these courses like some of the kids can. Okay. Well, then we had a great fall. I mean, when then we're we're looking at fall, then we're getting into winter, and then we wanted to focus on basketball. And I will say this much: the COVID cancellations, both in football and basketball this year, were I think about the least we've had. But these schools did a really good job of what you pointed out when you were on here early in the year, when we said, okay, if you've got enough kids to play and they've not been contaminated around the other ones, you guys need to try to play. And we saw that a lot in the middle of the season and towards the end. Like a kid would get COVID, but that kid was never around nobody, but they did have enough to play, and they'd go play instead of canceling. And I have to give them kudos for that, because those other kids that are there deserve to play just as much as the kids that were, were out. So, but that was a good thing, didn't you think?
Oh, well, I think that the other thing too that we kind of predicted, and we said this I said this in the summer of 2020, and I'm not a science researcher. I'm a pretty good student in that I study what other people are studying. We knew that the mental aspect of not being able to compete was harmed some of the kids. The worst thing about the 2020 spring cancellations was the fact that we didn't know enough to know not to do that. No one knew enough. We didn't know. We had people dying all over the country. We knew that it wasn't worth the risk, but we really thought there was going to be some long-term mental damage, and we're finding that out. More research comes out every day that that's true. And our schools knew that. Our schools are, our public schools in particular, but all of our schools are the number one protector of the health and welfare of students. And they knew that this was a problem, and they tried their best to get through it. There was some ugly games when the wrong person happened to be the person who had to sit out. And there was some battles with some local health departments, and some people may have pushed sports too much, and some people pushed fear too much, and we had to strike a balance. But overall, the citizens in our state did an outstanding job of trying to balance all those objectives. And we knew a little bit more in 21-22. We kind of knew what was potentially happening. We knew the Omicron surge was pretty strong and was pretty deadly. So we, at the start of the indoor sports, the winter sports, we kind of had to be really careful, but I think they've done a fantastic job. Every one of our school administrators should get kudos for all the things they've done to try to make sure we played.
You know me, I give them that all the time. Then we got to the tournament, and then I hadn't felt this much tingling in myself in a long, long time, because it was so awesome to see a lot of. I mean, I don't know, the 14th region championship game between Estill and Prairie Central. Gyms packed, elbow to elbow. I was getting tingles inside, because that remembered me the old days when we used to could do pack the gym, the student bodies going crazy, having a great time, but still doing it safely. And I thought we sort of hit a good turning point there. And then it went on into the state tournament, where I thought we had probably the best state tournament we've had in about 10 years, boys and girls. The boys tournament was the most competitive state tournament I can remember in 15 years.
I don't think there's any doubt. We had one game that was not a very good game. Yeah. And the other 14, there was doubt throughout the game as far as who might win. And so that's really, really an outstanding tribute to our coaches, our athletes, all the people around these programs being able to sustain momentum during the pandemic. I mean, it was challenging. Coaches would come in every day not knowing if they were going to be able to practice, if they were going to be able to play. And they trained mental preparation, physical preparation. And then when we started seeing the crowds come out and started really seeing the fruits of all that work come true, it was good. It felt a little bit more like the old days, as much as it's ever going to be like the old days. I mean, I think we've all got to realize this disease is going to be around us now for a while. We've got to figure out a way to navigate it versus running from it. And I think that's where everybody is right now.
Yeah. The girls tournament continues to keep going leaps and bounds. Rupp Arena's been, when you guys moved it to Rupp Arena, I don't think you knew what you had on your hands, but I think I hope it can stay there forever, because the girls' state tournament has just blossomed so much?
Well, I've tried myself and a couple of on our staff worked on trying to get the tournament moved to Rupp for probably the decade before we ever moved it. We just had a feeling, and we knew what that feeling was like around boys basketball, and our girls deserve the exact same opportunities. Whether they take advantage of them or not, whether the fans come or not, that's really kind of up to the fans. But we know that that's a basketball environment. I have long said that I support all of our schools, all of our colleges. I love them dearly. But if University of Kentucky started playing basketball at Transylvania's gym, that's where we'd have to move the state tournament. Yeah. Our kids just want to play where they see the flagship university play. And again, I'm hopeful Louisville gets back to a good position. I'm hopeful other schools stay strong. But there's just a mystique about where UK plays that we might as well not fight. Let's get into it. And I've had so many of our girls coaches privately tell me that they're so grateful for the opportunity to go in there to that hallowed house and play. Now, we could take the tournament back to some of our other regional universities, and I'm sure those universities would bend over backwards and do an outstanding job. This is not about them. This is really about the boys and girls getting the same opportunity. And in this 50th anniversary year of Title IX, we really need to remember that it hasn't always been this way. Some tournaments were second fiddle, and there was boys basketball tournament and everything else. And we're trying to change that. Now, we know this year at the boys tournament, there was a number of our season ticket holders that didn't order. We spent 6 months in final preparation for the basketball tournament, and we were preparing two different ways. We were preparing for the Omicron surge not going away and perhaps limited attendance. And then we were preparing to execute it as, without limitations. And luckily, we started getting pretty good indications at the end of January that we were going to be able to go full blow. So because of that, some people didn't make plans to come. They weren't really sure what it was going to be. So we're hopeful that next year is even more of a celebration. But we don't want to in any way belittle what happened this year. It was an outstanding pair of tournaments. Play was good in all of them. We had some just good basketball played in those two events. And I think a lot of the people that chose not to come admitted later on that they made a mistake. They really wish they had come.
Yeah, I wish I could have been there. Right. I love the two tournaments. That's my favorite part of the year. That's one of my favorite times. I love being around you guys, and I get to meet new people and get to be a part of something special. So that's good for me. I just like to meet people and be a part of it, and be able to report back to what's going on. So hope maybe next year that can happen for me. But I would love. I'm always willing. I'll come back. Spring sports is going strong right now. Baseball, softball, track field, tennis. Everybody's doing well. Where we got about 6-7 weeks left before we start tournament play end of May, beginning of June. And then we're going to hit that as we're going to go into the 22-23 season. There's a couple of things a couple of questions that's people come to ask me. I can't answer it, but I know you guys have got it on your agenda. One of them is the transfer rule, and I know you guys are going to talk more about that in your board meeting coming up, I think maybe not this month or next month. And there is another question of some of these teams, especially in basketball, where you've got only 2 teams in a district. Is there any way that we could see maybe some realignment to where we maybe equal some of these districts out?
All right, let me answer them in reverse order because you might as well answer the alignment question first. The one thing you cannot do is change where buildings are built. Yeah. So you're never going to have exact every district equal number of teams. It does not work because that's not where schools are being built. We're looking potentially at a consolidation that's being talked about in the 16th region between 2 schools. We're looking at a consolidation in the 2nd region that's being talked about that's already been approved. So as you get fewer and fewer schools, you're going to have disparities between the number of teams in the district. Yep. And despite what some people, and I'll just say my age or older, who seem to always think that their 3-team districts are bad and that they just, unfortunately, you still can't commit people to having to travel on icy, slick roads in the middle of winter a little further just because you wanted a perfect number of teams. Mm-hmm. So I think you'll continue to see our board's philosophy has been, and I think will continue to be, they'll address issues as they come up, but there's nobody looking for a wholesale change at this point. Now, at this point, in terms of a 2-team district, there's none of those that exist in basketball. Now, there are some in some other sports. We have a couple situations in baseball down the Louisville area and a couple situations in soccer in Eastern Kentucky that you don't have the right number of participating teams. But that's why you'll see more discussion about tournament format, et cetera. I'm not one, frankly, and this is just my opinion, and 50 cents will buy you a Coke in my office, but I'm not one that believes that there's some inherent advantage because you're in a 3-team district and somebody else is in a 5-team district. Bottom line is you still got to win the games at the right time of year based on the draw. And if you don't, if you're already setting up excuses because I'm in a larger district, so I'm at a terrible disadvantage, and all you're doing is telling your kids that we're setting you up to fail. We're just going to go ahead and tell you what the excuse is. My first opportunity, I guess one of my last opportunities really to work inside coaching was when I was a staff assistant for Kentucky football back in the 80s. And one of the things that the coach said, and I love Coach Claiborne to death, he's one of the finest people ever, but it seemed like always somebody was creating an excuse. Well, we don't have this facility. We don't have this facility. Instead of just saying, you know what, we lined up and that guy beat me. And that's kind of, so I don't know that I think you got to look at it, what happens. Where I worry is situations like the 15th region, which already barely has enough teams. And if they get another consolidation or two, now you got to start looking at tournament format before you look at a consolidation. I mentioned the 2nd region, when Christian County and Hopkinsville consolidate here in 2 years, that is, that's going to be a huge school. It's historically had a lot of athletes between those schools.
And made the state tournament a lot of times.
Yeah, but at the same time, though, which school are you going to take out of the Eastern time zone to move to the Central time zone so you can get more teams just because you want the exact number of teams? And that's what you also factors into problems we have in our state is we've got 2 time zones. Which makes travel in the winter particularly dicey. You go to now flip back up to the 15th region situation. You've really got 15 teams, 16 in some years, depending on whether one particular school plays girls basketball. And yet they're really in 3 geographic pods. They're not in 4 really easy to divide geographic pods. And so I don't think you're going to end up seeing a bunch of wholesale changes to tournament format for a while. But it's one of those things that's always reviewed. We just got to figure out what's going on with our population. When we look at the results of the 2020 census, it's pretty obvious that the mountain area of the state's losing population. So if they continue losing population, are they going to start losing schools? And you don't know that. We're all guessing when we say what's going to happen. Now, to flip to your first question, the board is required, our board and staff is required by state regulation to review our rules every year. Mm-hmm. Well, so one of the things that we're talking about this year is some potential change in the transfer rule and whether our schools want it or not. And one of the things that's come up, and it's because of the college influence, is do you simply say that everybody should get one opportunity to transfer? Well, that sounds good to some people and bad to some people. There's probably some people that think it's already a rule because as much movement as there is. And this Little League baseball syndrome of I don't like who I'm playing for now, so somebody else has got to give me a better chance, and parents coming together and just deciding they're wanting to move because they think the grass is greener. Well, that has trickled down to our level. But as it's more successful on the college level, are you going to be able to keep it out of the high school level? So that's a discussion that our board will have. That's the kind of rule, though, that our board doesn't get to make the final decision, and I certainly don't. That would have to go back out to our membership for a vote. I can tell you that there's a number of school administrators, since we first started talking about this, that have told me privately and publicly they are in favor of it, but it's not really for their advantage. It's because as mobile as society has become, and as many people as are moving legitimately around, it's more than they can manage to try to find the unethical transfers or the recruiting, et cetera. So maybe their path of least resistance is let everybody do it once. Ultimately, our schools are going to make this decision. I mean, our schools are going to be the ones to make the decision. I'll tell you this, though, and I would tell anybody that listens, I would make this statement. It's going to be awfully hard as our legislature continues to promote your ability to move around schools to say that, well, the legislature says you can move for sports, but we're not going to let you move for academics, but we're not going to let you move for sports. Yeah. That's probably not going to last very long, because eventually the legislature will say, are you in sports trying to inhibit the ability of people to move around? So it's something that needs to be talked about. It's obviously an absolute cluster at the college level. It is a disaster. You know, what started out as a means of allowing the kids the same freedom as the coaches have has turned into, okay, each year let's decide where our better chance at playing more is, you know. And so I think it's kind of turned intercollegiate athletics on its ear. They'll sort it out, and they may give us some pretty good guidance what we might want to do for the future.
Well, we'll be looking forward to that. I know also we'll be looking forward to it the next month, a little bit less. You guys are right now going to get the first draft out on the new realignment for 23 football season. We're going to hopefully get a chance to look at that here in the next month or two. I know you guys are working hard on that, and you got a lot going on down there. And Julian, I don't know how you guys get through it, but I commend you, and I think you got a lot on your plates, and we're looking forward to a lot of good things.
All right, buddy. I appreciate you letting us share some information, and if you need anything, you holler at us.
You'll take care of me anything I need. Julian, thank you so much. Appreciate it. You have a good evening.
All right, you too.
All right, Julian Tackett, Commissioner of the KHSAA. We're going to bring in our main man, John, here. That guy from WYMT, he quit using his name. Okay. Don't you like your name no more?
I thought I'd go a little comedy on the last show.
So what are you going to do next year for the first episode? That's this summer guy. This summer.
How about not Courtney Lane Brewer?
She didn't mean to let me down last week. I mean,
I didn't even know she was. I didn't even know that.
Well, I think she sent me a message, told me she was very sorry. She got occupied. She just plumb forgot about time. And sometimes that happens with our co-host. I mean, with our guests, because I know that that things going on, especially with just two of you now. There's so much going on. So,
it's tough for her on Sunday too because she's working. So
yeah. So yeah. But I saw some of your pictures where you was in West Virginia, got a chance to be with some family and friends. And looked like you just had a great time, and I'm glad you got to go do that.
Thanks, I appreciate it. Had a blast, but got all the vacation out of the way. We're back to work, so we're working on getting some stories told, and baseball, softball.
Yeah, got a lot of baseball, softball. That, like I said, like I keep telling you, July's going to be here, and the pigskin previews are going to be starting.
Don't remind me.
Okay, we're going to go to reverse order. First of all, let's go back and let's look at the 21-22 whole season as a whole. We saw what you had on Sports Overtime, but let's go to a different way of doing this. Give me some stuff that wasn't on Sports Overtime that we can review. We talked about how, just with the commissioner a moment ago, how volleyball has really blossomed in the mountains. And I know that you, Courtney, probably didn't cover a lot of volleyball where you guys were from, but soccer, volleyball, I've got all the actually. We don't have any field hockey teams, but we have football, volleyball, cross country, soccer, boys and girls. So tell me some things there that we didn't see that you'll remember as we head into because we're going to,
Yeah, we had that one kid from Bell County. I'm blanking on his name. He won the state title for Bell County and cross country. So I'm blanking on his name for the life of me. But I remember going down to Log Mountain interview him, and it was great for Bell County. I don't think they'd ever won a national state championship in cross country before. It'd be cool if they won a national, but I don't think they can. I think that's literally impossible. But and then also Corbin keeping the streak going in volleyball for winning the 13th region. I think this is what, their 4th in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Winning it there, and then Letcher managing to win in the 14th region, and Floyd Central in the 15th. That Floyd Central was it Floyd Central and Paintsville in the 15th region title. That was a back and forth. I thought it was going to go the other way.
Yeah.
I remember that. That was at Johnson Central back in October, I believe it was. So there was a lot in the fall that we didn't get to touch on really because we were so swamped with football, but and we didn't even really get much soccer. And I was really upset because we were still kind of finding our footing. I kind of wish we had done more soccer. We'll probably do that next fall.
You could do next year the things you didn't do that during the weeks, because football's a Friday night sport. So that gives you the opportunity during the Monday to Thursday to get soccer, get volleyball, get cross country, get the sports that nobody sees. That was one of the reasons why we went over this review with the commissioner, because I wanted to know his thoughts. And as always, he was brilliant with all his comment and everything. But I was impressed with some of the volleyball that I saw this year. And I don't know how these cross-country people do this. Some of these, I don't know if you've ever seen some of these places they run.
Mm-hmm.
They might run straight for a little while, then boom, downhill, uphill, down. I mean, it's amazing what they have to run through. And he was talking.
It's like the Tour de France, but without a bike. I mean, it really is.
Talking about how Harlan County has probably one of the best cross-country areas to run in as anybody, because they clean that hill back up there, and then that's where you run. So I mean, it was phenomenal.
That reminded me of when I was a kid. I not to get off track here, but on cross country, my sister ran cross country in middle school, and our middle school's like cross country course was right next to the minimum security prison.
Oh no!
So one practice, they accidentally ran onto the grounds of the minimum security prison and almost got got cited for trespassing.
Oh no, that would have been awful. 20 kids arrested for running on the prison grounds. Highlights at 10.
Yes.
Highlights at 10. And there would be your sister like, oh no, she got caught. I love that. I love stories like that. Those are the things that make me laugh, because you don't hear stories like that. You always hear this negative stuff. I don't want to hear about negative stuff. I love to hear stories like that because that's funny. Because I mean, it's dangerous, but you're running. I mean, it's untelling where some of these cross country.
Oh, they were running faster after that.
I bet the cross country coach was like, "Hey, girls, you don't belong over there. Get on the other path."
More like, wow, I have never seen them run this fast. How about that? Look at them go.
Yeah. Those guys in the orange suits, no. Run away from the football was a success, as we talked about. Coach Matney, he was the story of the mountains of football. He'll be the story for a long, long time. Can Johnson Central, can they stay where they're at with new leadership? Because I know a lot of these coaches have been there that helped them to get through Coach Matney's passing. Can they continue to be Johnson Central, or are we going to see maybe a little turn in that program?
I think it's tough to judge, because we, as Mountain fans, don't really know a world without Matney, without Matney at Johnson Central. And also, we don't know what district they're going to be in the season after next. So we don't know what kind of competition they'll have, how they'll stack up against them. I think in the district they're in, they're going to keep being Johnson Central. I mean, Letcher Central, Perry Central potentially next year could be their big challenge. But, I mean, I don't see Harlan County challenging them. I don't see Clay County challenging them. I like what Sizemore's doing over at Clay County. I don't think they're good enough to beat Johnson Central. So,
listen, what I saw this week on people transferring blow my mind. Okay, I mean, I'm just going to say we've seen 3 big time transfers in this past week.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've got Twitter, you got Facebook, you know who these people are. I'm not going to mention their name because I don't want to be disrespectful to the school they come from or they're going to. But the people they're going to have become big time players. Big time. And it's a big thing. I think people need to watch it because it's going to be I think there's going to be more to come. I think especially if we asked the commissioner about that transfer rule, and they said they're going to have their schools vote on it and everything.
Mm.
It sounds like to me that eventually one of these days that I think that may pass. But people are going to transfer. The one thing I wanted to see, I didn't get a chance to ask him this. I wanted to ask him. I would have loved if they could have kept in the rules that if you want to try a 5th year again, you can. But only each school's allowed only 1 participant of that 5th year senior role. You could, or maybe 2.
I think that's a tough.
Say 2 at the most.
I think that's tough though because when it comes to the COVID situation.
Because this past season, the 5th year senior was unbelievable. Mr. Football was a 5th year senior. We had a girl at Leslie County, a 5th year senior. She was averaging like 8 points a game when she was a regular senior. She ended up averaging 16 this year.
Mm-hmm.
Her coming back was the difference. I think it was a great thing. We saw a lot of great 5th year. That's something that I don't know if you could do a story on, but find your seniors that had a 5th year and see how much improvement they had from one year to the other. That's why I would like to see if Joe Smo had had a really great season. It was like, well, let's get Joe Smo one more season and see how he does. Can he do better? So, I don't know.
Well, I think it's tough to judge because you got that 5th season in sports, sure, but you really, when it comes down to it, it's a 5th year of school. Yeah. And you think about with the COVID year and that from March of 2020 until what was it, April of 2021, there wasn't a single kid in school.
Yeah.
You can make a case to say, well, I need another year just because I'm not ready for the world yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I think because academics go so hand in hand, I think that's a tough thing to judge.
I was a big fan of it though. I loved it. You just look at Mr. Football, 5th year senior. It was awesome.
And not only was he Mr. Football, he helped carry Belfry through the best, story aside from Matney.
Yeah.
But probably the most positive story of the Mountains all year. So,
the
next
thing we need to do is we need to wish a happy birthday to our girl, to Camille. Yes, today's her birthday. I wished her a happy birthday. And also, we want to wish all of our siblings a happy Siblings Day. If you got a brother or sister,
I do. I have a sister. So
I got 2 brothers. I posted something on there today. I said I love you all. I miss you. Don't see it much because they live in Hazard. I live in Marvel. So. But that was fun. I'm going to talk about the spring game a little bit, and we're going to talk some football for next year. What did you think about yesterday? I've not got a chance to watch the 11 o'clock news yet. From last night, but I'm going to watch it. But I want to get your thoughts, what you thought about last night, the spring game.
I'm going to clean up my language a little bit, but I told one of the people at UK saying spring game my rear. It wasn't spring and it wasn't a game.
But I was impressed with what we saw.
I was impressed. I was impressed with Dane Key. I was surprised to see how much he's built himself since enrolling and how good he was. He was wearing number 6. So in the back of my mind, I was thinking, Josh Ali's gone. And it was great what I saw out of him. I liked Tavion Robinson. I thought he was very elusive, not bad for a Virginia Tech guy. Sorry, West Virginia fans hate Virginia Tech. Just saying.
I know. Well, you guys are not a fan of theirs. I know.
But no, he was great. I like
that running back was unbelievable. Not Smoke. Durham.
Yeah. I'll find it. I know what you're talking about.
I've got the stats right here.
You're gonna say it. I'm gonna say, yeah, him.
Mike Denham.
Yes.
And then Jatadian McClain was the other one.
Yeah, Mike Drennan.
And, not Drennan. I didn't say right.
Drennan.
Now, I had Jeff Drummond on here tonight, and he was telling me that this kid is just too athletic and too talented to be fourth on the depth chart. A lot of teams lose a lot of kids in the transfer portal after spring game because they find out, I'm fifth on the depth chart. I ain't staying here. Why can't I go play at UK where they need they need somebody? So
yeah,
he's one. And I thought all four quarterbacks yesterday were. I mean, I was impressed with everything.
Mm-hmm. I think that Bo Allen battle with Deuce Hogan, I thought that was an interesting. And Kaya Sharon had a good pass.
He did. Well. He really did. He did.
I mean, the battle for the backup quarterback is fierce. That's an interesting battle there.
Well, we go from having no quarterbacks about 5 years ago when we had to have a receiver finish the year to now we got four really good quarterbacks.
Mm.
I love her running back core. I love her I love her receivers. Rashad Lewis, impressive. 3 catches, 54 yards. You mentioned Robinson, 3 catches, 42 yards. Dane Key, 2 catches, 43 yards. Even Mike Drennan caught 2 balls out of the backfield for 26 yards. So, I mean, and then I also asked Jeff, would there be a possibility of Mike Drennan playing some receiver if he can't get in the backfield because you got the senior in Smoke, you got McClain, and then you got Chris Rodriguez, which I think everybody was amazed that he come back for a 5th year. So,
Well, let's not forget about defense too. I was impressed with that Lovett kid.
Mm-hmm.
He looked good. Excuse me. Sorry. I thought Geiger looked pretty good. He was trying to slide into free safety. I mean, that the secondary I think is going to be an interesting thing without I can't believe
without the one that got injured.
Vito Tisdale.
Yeah.
Vito Tisdale.
And Jeff mentioned tonight that Kentucky will probably go get some safeties and corners out of the transfer portal because they need some more kids because like we said, kids just come and go all the time. We'll see after this spring game. Not heard nothing today, but everything was positive. Nobody wanting to transfer. Everybody's wanting to be a part of it. So we'll have to wait and see.
One extra moment from the spring game, and I want to talk about is it was a nice moment later in the game. I tweeted about it. It was nice seeing Grant Bingham out there. He got some reps out there out of Johnson Central, but there was a moment there, and I think I tweeted the video. Grant Bingham was blocking against Braxton Iserman, which I thought was neat. It was 2 Mountain kids on each side, which I thought was neat. So
several Mountain kids on the Kentucky roster. That's impressive to see. Did you ever say where Isaac Dixon was going to wind up going?
I haven't heard anything. From what I'm hearing, we might not hear anything. So, yeah.
We'll just find out when we see him on the football field.
Yep. I'm sure. Okay. I'm sure we'll know if he goes somewhere.
All right. We've got 2 new coaches hired this week. Williamsburg hired OBI's coach, Anthony Hibbert. Also, we talked about Eric Sword getting hired at Whitley County. Let me see, what was the other one? Williamsburg's girls coach resigned, Crater. And the Johnson Central hired former Shelby Valley boys coach, Hicks, Jim Hicks. Of the 3 new coaches hired, who's going to have the most success right out of the bat?
I want to say Hicks, but it's an interesting district they're in. Martin County, Paintsville, and McGoffin. So I'm thinking Hicks. I like the hire by Williamsburg to get Anthony Hibbert, but that's a tough district. That's a tough district.
It's hard to get over Corbin. Williamsburg and Whitley County both hired new coaches, but it's going to be extremely tough for both of them guys to overstep the veterans, Jeff Davison and
Petrowski.
Yeah. Because they're just so good. And they're very rarely are they going to be down. So, I mean, I done saw Les Dixon put out earlier this week. I don't think you saw this. He put out his girls' top 10, his boys' top 10 for next season. He's got North 1, Harlan Kelly 2, Corbin 3, South 4. He had Knox Central 5. I thought that's interesting. He had Clay County 8th. He had Williamsburg and Whitley County 9, 10, but I think that was before they hired their coaches. Now the jobs that remain open so far, as we know of: Clay County girls, Middlesboro girls, Williamsburg girls, OBI boys now with the Hibbert leaving, Leslie County boys and Middlesboro. So I think you'll see some action on the Leslie County one this week. I'd keep your eyes open. I think they may. I think we're going to try to do interviews this week. There's a possibility we could hear something this week. Probably a couple of them other jobs probably see some movement too. A lot of the spring break people are back, so they can go ahead and start doing their interviews and stuff like that. So that'll be interesting to see. We're 2.5 months away from football. We're real close, and I know coming in, this is a good time to think about some kids that we need to keep our eye on for the upcoming season and some teams. So let's talk about, first of all, some players that are coming back that we need to keep our eye on. Let's start with quarterback.
Ask me too quick. I hesitate to say it, but Kaiser Sloan.
Yeah.
I think it'll be interesting to see what he does, where he is. That'll be
amazing.
Yeah. That'll be a fun one to check out. I'm interested to see, not so much as a player, but who replaces McAnamy in Pikeville. That'll be, because it's Pikeville. It's Pikeville. So,
and Patesville, who'll be their new quarterback.
Right. Sorry,
Well, we're not. If you look at the quarterbacks, there's not a. There. I can only name you a handful of people that are coming back. The biggest name of all of them is the kid at Williamsburg.
It's awesome. Whatever his last name is, it's awesome.
Yeah. He's probably the highest returning player of the list coming back, and in the kid at Clay County.
Clay County's got fireworks on their team. They got a young core. It's just unfortunate the district they're in.
Same way with Perry and Hardy County, but I think this year though, they may be able to compete a little bit. Johnson Central, I think they may come down a little bit, so they may have to. Because I don't know what kind of offense stuff that Jesse Peck will run. I expect not a whole lot will change because a lot of the same staff is there, but we'll see. Running back. Who are some running backs to keep our eye on?
Mason Lawson, I think, out of Johnson Central.
Yeah.
Trying to think of.
Oh, I forgot about the Shelby Valley quarterback. He comes back this year too.
Oh, Russ Osborne. Yeah.
He'll be a senior this year. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That'll be. Forgot about him. And they should tear up that district they're in.
Yeah, West Carter lost a lot. Bath County lost a lot. I think Peaburg's going to be better. I think Eastridge is going to be much better.
That kid's good too. Out of Eastridge.
Yep.
Yeah, Burdine. Yeah, I think he's going to build something there. I think he might be another year away.
Yeah.
But there's something brewing over there in Elkhorn City. I'm excited.
Yeah. Okay, running backs. You mentioned Mason.
Mason Lawson. Man.
Well, you know what? When we think about these and we look back, we don't remember a lot of the kids we saw play were all seniors.
Yeah. So I'm kind of blanking, man.
Well, it's hard to make adjustment from one sport to another because you focus so much on basketball, your football's not there. But when you start diving into your pigskin previews, it's going to be like, oh yeah, well, I forgot him. But he was awesome.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I think that kid. I'm trying to think of that kid from Harlan County was a senior. He was pretty good. He had a good, like it was like a 3 yards and a cloud of dust kind of kid.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to remember if he was a senior or not, but he was pretty good.
Junior.
Yeah. I mean, Harlan County's their running game is pretty solid.
Now you look at your new coaches. You look at your new coaches and you wonder what kind of offense they're going to run at these schools. Johnson Central with Jesse Pack, Chris Larkey at Rockcastle County, North Laurel, of course, Jason Chappell, Joe Beaters in New Knox County, Alan Harris at Pineville. You would expect these 5 teams right there are we know Knox County is going to be totally different. Totally different now. But them others, I think they're going to be some changes there because new leadership usually wants a little bit different looking stuff.
Sure, and then you also got DeRosset over at McGoffin County.
Yeah, McGoffin County. Yeah.
I like the hire by Rockcastle. I'm interested to see how that goes. They weren't that bad last year. I mean, they were.
No, Parkey did a good job. He just didn't have a lot to work with. But now that Larkey's there, I think a lot more kids that didn't play for Parkey will play for Larkey. And I think you'll see tradition at Rockcastle start to zoom big time.
Well, I remember going up there for the Estill County game. I mean, Estill was pretty solid. Markham's got a good program up there in Irvin. And it was a pretty fun game. It was a pretty, solid offensively on both ends. And it was, I mean, I think Rockcastle, give it a year, will be pretty good. And because they're in there with, granted, they're in there with like Bell and Garrett and all those teams, but
Garrett has a good coach.
Yeah. So that'll be. I'm interested to see how Rockcastle is. I think North Laurel will be fine.
I'm going to give you my top 10 early. Now this is totally going to change before it even starts. But this is my early top 10. Now I'm going to go 1 to 10 because it's easier to do it this way. Number 1, I still like Johnson Central. Number 2, I like Corbin. Now, probably Corbin's going to be 1 and Johnson Central's probably going to be 2. Vice versa, I don't know. I still like Pikeville 3. I still think Pikeville's got some pieces, but I think Pikeville's got some holes they got to fill. But I think Pikeville 3. So Johnson Central 1, Corbin 2, Pikeville 3. I think North Laurel is going to be. I think they're going to jump off the charts. I'm going to put them at 4. I think if they stay healthy, they've got the talent to do some damage. 5, I love Breathitt County. They got a lot of pieces. They got to find a quarterback, though. 6, I like Bale. I think Bale's got to replace their quarterback, but I like Bale. 7, Southwestern. Probably Southwestern and Pulaski will be up higher, but I said this is early. I'm just giving you 10 teams. Southwestern 7, Pulaski County 8. I'm gonna put Perry Central at 9. I was gonna say, where's Perry Central?
With
Perry Central with what they've got, and this is Mark's 3rd year, and Mark starts to really take turn at this juncture. And then my number 10 team, I'm going to go Hazard Bulldogs. I just think Hazard's they got a lot of kids, got a great freshman class. I think Pelfrey's going to have a big year. They got the best receiving core they've had in quite a while. Max Johnson's going to be a strong running back. So that's my 10. Let me hear your 10.
Well, actually, I'll do you one better.
Okay.
I don't disagree with your 10, so I'll give you some sleepers to keep an eye on.
Oh, well, there we go. I like sleepers. I love sleepers.
I'm thinking sleeper number 1, Betsy Lane. I think Jarrell is really building something there. They had some pretty good moments there. They couldn't quite compete with Paintsville, but I think give it some time. I think they will. I think Jarrell's committed to that program, so I don't think you're going to see him go anywhere else, at least not for a while.
Yeah.
East Ridge is building something there. I don't know if they're top 10 yet, but they're getting there. I'm going to think Letcher Central. I don't think Letcher Central is just going to roll over.
They lost their backfield, and that's one reason why I put Perry ahead of them. Because backfields are very important. And
I agree, especially in Kentucky.
I just saw Letcher had the best 2-year run in football, but if they hadn't been in there with John Central, probably would have won a district or 2. But Letcher, I think Letcher will be okay. They just got to replace a lot. We'll have to see what they replace it with.
Yep. Middlesbrough has to replace some guys too, but Larry French. You can't go against Larry French. And then last team I'll give you is Lawrence County. So I think those are some sleepers to go along with your 10.
I think there's two more teams that's out there that you need to keep your eye on. South Laurel's going to be a whole lot better this year. What you think? The Landry Collins boy, he's going to be awesome. I think he's going to be a great quarterback. He's got great skilled people around him. They had very few seniors, so I think they're going to be a lot better. And I think one other team that we didn't mention is I think Estel's still going to be pretty good. Estel's still got some pretty decent pieces over there. But, you know, the one good thing about this coming year is that the playoff, we're going back to the old format. So the district, you'll be playing for your district championship in the regular season. The district games mean so much more this year.
Right, and then you're going to play like a bordering district.
Yeah, you're going to play the district beside you, and then the RPI will not go into effect until the state semifinals. The final four teams, you know, that's when you'll see the RPI. So, I'm tickled to death. I can't wait for football. I've never been so glad to see an RPI get kicked down the beltway, because that thing's been aggravating. But I'm glad we're going back to what we used to be. If you playing for your district championship during the regular season, now you won't have it's going to be like it was in the old times. You know, it's going to be a lot of fun, and you know, you got to keep your eyes open during the summer, because you're going to see people probably moving here, moving there. Yeah. We'll be also keeping an eye on these basketball coaching jobs. If you hear anything, let me know. Text me, let me know what you hear on some of these jobs. I'd like to I might shoot a short video during some time and let people know what's just going on. So
yeah, and same here. Text me if you know anything.
Yeah, if I know anything, I'll let you know. But I'm impressed with what I noticed, that a lot of coaches are getting out. I guess it's just because they're burned out, or they just don't want to coach anymore. But we'll see how that works out. First of all, John, I want to thank you and Courtney and Camille, because Camille started the season with us, and for everything you've done for the show. And I know you'll be back for season 3. The 14th, that's the first official week of the high school football season. We'll have a great idea by then who, well, I guess your pigskin preview will be that sometime during that week, when you introduce your top 10 and the teams that don't make it. So we'll be looking for
whatever the first game is, subtract 10, and then however many teams are left. Yeah. You know, it'll be 1 or 2 a day from there. So we'll go back. So it'll probably be like late July. They'll start to air.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Can't wait. I'm looking forward to it. But again, I want to thank you guys for being a part of the show. I know you guys will be a part of it next year. Season 3, when we come back on October 14th. August 14th, not October. August 14th. Can't wait. And you have a really good summer. I know I'll see you at some baseball, softball, and we'll chat. And if I find out any good, valuable news that you need to know of, I'll text it to you. If you find out any good, valuable news, let me know about it. But you have a good rest of the summer, and we'll talk with you in August.
For sure. And one thing I do want to say to the viewers out there, if there's a story you want told, do not hesitate to email us, sports@wymt.com, especially after baseball season. We're not going to have a ton to do, so we'd love to tell your story. So give us a shout.
Yeah, and I'll keep reminding people of that too. If you get bored enough, you can always take your camera and go. There's some wrestling going to be over in Corbin. You might get some highlights of that or something.
Well, we are starting to get on in the storytelling mode. I mean, Courtney did that Paul Andrews story.
I love that. That was awesome. I'd like to get him. I would love to get him on the show. I would have to let you give me his credentials so I can get up with him.
You're gonna have to link up with. You're gonna have to link up with Courtney on that. That was all Courtney. I didn't.
Well, I need to get up with her because I need to get. I would love to have him on the show next year. Let's talk about that, because I would want to get on here when you guys done the story, but we just spread out of time. So
yeah, but she did that story. I'm going to start working on. She went up to Lexington earlier this month. She interviewed Chase Eastep. We're going to have a story on Chase Eastep and what he's doing at Kentucky. I am going up sometime by the end of the month. I'm going up to Moorhead. We're going to interview a couple of our former 15th region kids that play there now. Tomorrow I'm going out to Williamsburg. The Cumberlands, University of the Cumberlands, their lacrosse teams are some of the tops in the country, which, is a sport that not many people know of around here. So we're going to tell their story, and we're trying to link up with Cole Bentley as he prepares for the NFL. And we got some other former players out there. We're going to try to link up with Cameron Justice as well. Now that his college career is over, we're going to recap his college career. So we got some things going on, but we always want to tell more stories. So
again, if anybody's got a story out there and you want it to be told sports wise, just email John or Courtney at WYMTV.com. Again, thank you guys so much for being a part of the season 2. And we will see you during the summer sometime, and then we'll be ready for season 3 of the CJ Harris Show.
All right, glad to do it.
All right, thank you, John. Appreciate it. John Lowe, sports director at WYMTV, as he gives us our final set words as we get ready to head off the air. First of all, I want to thank everybody that watched, left comments, and called. Cool moment tonight when Jay Smoot called, and one was a rare form ready for Saturday night. But again, I want to thank everybody that watched, called, left comments all season long. Thank you so much, guys and gals. You guys have been so good to me, and thank you for your support. And just come back with me again in August. I want to thank my guests tonight, Jeff Drummond, Henry Shaw, Julian Tackett, and John Lowe. You 4 gentlemen, thank you so very much for being part of the show. I want to thank all of my co-hosts, even though I did not have one tonight. Ryan Lemon got a little busy. We'll hopefully get Ryan on the show later next year in season 3. But I want to thank every one of my co-hosts. I had so many. I don't want to leave somebody out. I want to thank every one of my guests I've had. You guys have been phenomenal. Without you, this would not be a part. I want to thank my wife for letting me do this. She's a super person. She works very hard. She don't get the credit that she deserves, but I want to thank her. And I also want to thank God for letting me be here on earth to be a part of this and to be a part of your time on Sunday nights from 8 to 10. I'll be back with you on August 14th. That'll be the first episode of the CJ Howard Show, season number 3, the season premiere of the CJ Howard Show. Tanner Hesterberg is already going to be my co-host for that night. We'll have a great guest list. We will take your phone calls, and we will do much, much more coming up August 14th. Look for upcoming things in the months to come. You'll see little videos from me, little stuff to get you ready for season 3 of the CJ Howard Show that will be happening. I also want to remind everybody, please stop by the Facebook, put in the search bar the CJ Howard Show page. Go in there. I want you to like it. I want you to help me share it. You guys have been doing a phenomenal job of that. Keep that up. Let's get that done during the summertime. Also on my YouTube channel, CJ Howard, go over and subscribe to that for me as well. Also, I want to remind everybody, too, that it's been a fun season 2. It's coming to an end here. But I want to thank everybody. You guys have just been phenomenal. I want you to have some good thoughts for me this week. Something good's going to be happening, hopefully. And I'll talk more about it if something happens. So we'll let that go for now. I want to thank everybody again, all my co-hosts, all my guests, and all the people that watched the CJ Howard season 1 and 2. You have been phenomenal, and I couldn't do it without you. I love you all, and I will miss you all until August. This is CJ Howard, rounding third and heading for home. Good night, everybody. God bless you, and we'll see you August 14th with season 3 of the CJ Howard Show.